Day 2 of Senior Bowl practice in Mobile, Alabama has officially wrapped up, and today I've got my 14 winners and 5 losers from Day 2 of practice at the Senior Bowl. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because yesterday we actually put out our Day 1 winners and losers video here on the channel. So if you want to see all the top guys from Day 1, a lot of the people on my Day 1 list also had good days today. I didn't do any repeat winners today, so if you want to go and see some other players that are having good weeks down there in Mobile, I'm going to put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show. And make sure you click that subscribe button to never miss any of our winners and losers videos all throughout the draft season. You guys can also give me a follow on X at Jack_Sperry for daily NFL draft updates. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support on the X platform as well. So as always here, let's start with the winners. Of course, we started yesterday with the winners, and today we will also go over my 14 winners from Day 2 of Senior Bowl practice. We will start with the quarterbacks here because I didn't have any quarterbacks on my winners list. Yesterday, I wanted to see a little bit more before I put these guys on my winners list. But first up, Jaxson Dart out of Ole Miss. I think he's been the best quarterback in Mobile to this point. He's had some nice throws down the field. He's been delivering shots to all levels of the field, intermediate, short, all these different things. He looks in control. I wouldn't say that he's been stellar. I just don't think any of these quarterbacks have had particularly phenomenal weeks, like mind-blowingly good weeks. I still don't think Jaxson Dart is necessarily a round 1 caliber of prospect, but I do think that he's shown some of the touch, some of the anticipation, some of the pacing that you want to see on intermediate level throws. And I think that he's done a good job solidifying himself as potentially a Day 2 draft pick in either round 2 or round 3. Speaking of guys that could go on Day 2, Oregon's Dillon Gabriel has also had a pretty decent week. His ball placement has been very, very impressive. And the thing about Gabriel is he's not really able to bomb it down the field with timing and pace the way that guys like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or the big arm quarterbacks in the National Football League can. But the ball does come out of his hands with some zip to it. And when he's throwing to the short and intermediate levels of the field, it kind of looks like Tua Tagovailoa, where we know Tua doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but when he gets the ball out to the short and intermediate levels of the field, he can throw that line drive throw. So can Dillon Gabriel, like Tua as well. Dillon is pretty short. He's 5'10", so he's going to have some pretty similar limitations to what Tua Tagovailoa has, but also like Tua, if you could put Dillon Gabriel in the right system, I think he could be a pretty decent backup quarterback. So I do think he's going to be somebody that teams consider at the end of Day 2, early Day 3, and I think that he's been having a pretty decent week in Mobile here this week. Then we get to Tyler Shough here. Kind of a weird spelling for the last name Shough, but out of Louisville. He's got some nice arm talent. He's been delivering some shots with accuracy and pace to all levels of the field this week. Out of the guys that are probably going to go on Day 3, and if you're looking for kind of that sleeper prospect, I think this kid out of Louisville has some tools that people like. I don't have him in my top 5 of my quarterback rankings right now. I still have to go through more film on these guys, so these are not finalized, all right? But this is my early look, guys, that I'm going to give to you guys about my quarterback prospects. My top 5, I got Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders as the only guys I have first-round grades on right now. Cam Ward is kind of, far and away the best in my opinion. But then I got Jaxson Dart as my number 3 overall quarterback in this class. Will Howard, who just won a national championship with the Ohio State Buckeyes, is number 4. And then I have Dillon Gabriel at number 5. So let me know down there in the comment section, who's your guy? Who's going to be the hidden gem at the quarterback position here in the 2025 NFL Draft? Let me know down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by letting me know who you think is going to be the hidden gem in this year's quarterback class. Then we'll get to some of the other positions here. We'll go over some wide receivers. Jayden Higgins is somebody that I personally have a late first-round grade on. I really like his combination of size with really, really smooth and fluid route running. I think that Higgins is somebody that's going to be able to come in on an NFL team on Day 1, play the X position, and get open consistently against man coverage, against NFL caliber corners. He's been doing a really good job getting open all throughout the week. We talked about Xavier Restrepo out of Miami yesterday. I would say Higgins and Restrepo are kind of the more route running technicians out there, and the fact that you're pairing that in Higgins' case with a 6'4" frame, I think that's something that a lot of NFL teams are going to be intrigued by. I think at the end of the day, he has a chance to be a Day 1 prospect in this year's draft class. Then we get to the other Iowa State wide receiver here in this class, Jaylen Noel. Now, Higgins is the bigger receiver, but he's still a pretty darn good route runner. Noel is kind of the smaller wide receiver from the Cyclones, but he's still a little bit more of a burner than Higgins is, and he's also a phenomenal route runner as well. So I thought that both of these guys did a really good job in the one-on-ones here in the first 2 days out there in Mobile, and I'm excited to see how their draft stock rises throughout this process. And then we get to Jack Bech, wide receiver out of TCU. No, I didn't put this guy on there because he has the same first name as me. He is a legitimately good player. Now, he's not going to blow you away with really any element of his game. He's not like a crazy good route runner. He's not like a crazy good contested catch guy, but he does everything extremely well, all right? He's kind of the full package, and I think a lot of teams are going to like this guy on day 2 as a wide receiver prospect because he really does do a good job in run blocking. He's a bigger wide receiver that does run good routes. He's got very reliable hands, and I don't think he's ever going to be a number 1 wide receiver in the National Football League, but as a number 2, number 3 probably to start for an NFL team, especially a team that likes to run the football a lot and really relies on their wide receivers to run block on a down-to-down basis. I think Bech is going to be somebody that a lot of these Shanahan and McVay-style offenses really, really like. Then somebody that was kind of a speedster here these first 2 days down there in Mobile is Tai Felton, wide receiver out of Maryland. Now, Felton is tiny, but he can run, all right? This guy has made some big-time plays down the field, separating down the field consistently against the one-on-one corners here, and I think that he's had a really, really good week. Now, where is he going to go? I would say he's probably going to go maybe late day 2, early day 3 because he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's more of just a true deep threat than anything else, but I actually think he's been running some pretty crisp routes as well, and I've been impressed with what he has been putting on the tape during Senior Bowl practices. So coming up here, more winners and losers. All right, I've got more winners, and then we'll finish up with my 5 losers from day 2 of Senior Bowl practice. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the best place for you to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. Game Time has a brand new feature on their app called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets to go see live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you have to do is select that Game Time Picks button when you get into an event. It's that little green button that says GT Picks on there. And if you select that button, Game Time's automatically going to show you the best deals, the best tickets, the best views at the best prices so that you and your family can get the best possible deals on any ticket you purchase to any live event. What I love about using the Game Time app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. It's just for that first purchase, guys. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Now, the guy that everybody is talking about from day 2 of practice was Marshall edge rusher Mike Green, and this guy is an absolute freak, ladies and gentlemen. This is somebody that absolutely ran over Josh Conerly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon, who, by the way, is ranked in the top 32 on the Pro Football Focus big board right now. He's probably the best tackle in Mobile this year, and this guy just straight up ran him over in the viral moment of the day, which is why we are going to make Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall, today's Sperry Psycho of the day. This guy brings a really, really good blend of get off the snap. Then he's also got some really, really good pass rush moves. He's got a spin move that's absolutely lethal. And as he showed today by running over Josh Conerly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon on day 2 of Senior Bowl practice, he's got that ability to convert speed to power that is highly coveted among these NFL teams. I think he's a first-round talent, and because of that, and because he's kind of got that predator mentality, I think he's going to be a day 1 stud at the edge rusher position. A little bit undersized, so he's probably going to have to be a true outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme, but he is my psycho of the day. Then we get to another player that had a really, really good day of practice, and that was Shemar Stewart, the Texas A&M defensive linemen, and they lined him up everywhere, on the interior, on the edge, and I really thought on the edge in particular, he had a really good day. And he did, at his size, his ability to get off the ball and use his use his hip bend to get to the quarterback with speed was super, super impressive. All right, a guy that size should not be able to move the way Shemar Stewart does. And during team periods today in particular, he absolutely dominated. Another interior defensive lineman that I thought had a really good day, and honestly he's had a good 2 days of practice, is Darius Alexander, somebody that's expected to go late day 2, maybe early day 3. Alexander's got super powerful hands as a 310-pound defensive interior lineman, and I think that if you're looking for somebody with powerful hands that can really hold his own against both the run and then also get to the pass rusher from the inside as a 3 technique, I think that this kid out of Toledo has had a very impressive 2 days, and I think some team is going to get a steal with him in the middle rounds of the NFL draft this year. Then we got another Iowa State Cyclone here with the cornerback Darien Porter. I almost put Porter on my winners list yesterday, but we had enough corners on there that also had great days. By the way, the kid out of Louisville, Ridley, had a really good day today again. Maxwell Harrison had a really good day out of Kentucky once again today, but we covered those guys yesterday. But Darien Porter out of Iowa State has been in that crew of cornerbacks that haven't been getting beat as much as some of the other guys in this class. So big shout out to him. He's a kind of a bigger guy. He's done a good job showing some versatility as well. So Darien Porter makes my winners list today. Then we get to Sacramento State interior lineman Jaxson Slater, who has been doing a phenomenal job. And, this is kind of a class that's known as one that's a little bit interior offensive lineman heavy. Like it's not a lot of really good high-end interior offensive linemen in this class. I think a lot of tackles actually are probably going to convert to guards. But Slater is somebody that played on the interior at Sacramento State. He's still playing there here in Mobile, and he has stood up some very, very good interior pass rushers like Deion Walker and others, where he has stonewalled some of the best interior linemen in the country, and he has been super, super impressive. I think that he's going to be probably a day 2 pick with how impressive he is, how impressive of a week he is putting together at this point. So speaking of some of these tackles that played tackle in college that I think are going to be guards in the NFL, Jonah, I hope I'm saying this right, Savaiinea? Hope I'm saying that right. Let me know if I got that wrong in the comments section. But he played a lot of guard at practice today, and you could see the anchor strength. You could see the ability to put his hands on an interior pass rusher and just shut them down. I mean, he's got incredible power. I think his movement skills are a little bit limited, but you could see the hand strength. You could see the anchor. These defensive interior linemen weren't really getting much push on him today. Very impressive day from the interior lineman out of Arizona. And then another guy that played tackle in college that I think is going to be more of a guard prospect here is West Virginia offensive tackle Wyatt Milum. Are we good? All right, so sorry, I just lost my feed right here, but Wyatt Milum here, I think that he is going to be more of an interior lineman. Now, Milum actually made my losers list yesterday, and I thought that today he played a lot more guard than at tackle like he did in day 1, and I thought today he was phenomenal at guard. So I want to say great job by Wyatt here to kind of bounce back and do a good job of finding his home, because I do think he's more suited to play guard in the National Football League than tackle. And honestly, in a class where there's not a whole lot of really good, true interior linemen, I think Milum is somebody that could be potentially even a day 2 draft prospect here as someone that plays at guard as opposed to tackle. So I've got my losers coming up here in just a second. Make sure you like today's video for more draft content. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. We've got a Shedeur Sanders versus Cam Ward video coming out on this channel later this week. We've got mock draft reactions. We've got prospect analysis coming your way all throughout the 2025 NFL draft season. So make sure you click that subscribe button and like today's video to help spread the word. So now, on to the losers. And I said this yesterday, but I want to reiterate this point. Just because I put somebody on my losers list today does not mean I think they're a bad prospect. It does not mean that I think they're going to be a bust. It doesn't mean that they can't bounce back in the later portion of the week in Mobile, all right? But in my opinion, these are people that, for whatever reason, they haven't done what maybe people were expecting them to do in terms of solidifying a high rank or potentially even moving up the ranks in terms of their draft stock. So we'll start with Jalen Milroe, who I put in my losers list yesterday. And now we'll say, Milroe had a better day today, all right? He wasn't as inaccurate. He was still very spotty with his accuracy, but I do think that he was able to make some nice downfield connections in the team periods. He showed some downfield accuracy today. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and I said this yesterday, that he has the best arm talent out of anybody in this class that is at the Senior Bowl right now. Plain and simply, all right? Like, this guy's got a strong arm. He can layer that football, all these different things. It's just the consistency that is still not there here on day 2 that worries me quite a bit. And, this is going to be something, and accuracy is going to be something that's going to pop up a lot in his evaluation, at least for me. He currently doesn't rank in the top 5 quarterbacks in this class for that reason. Obviously, he's got the skill set to potentially become something really nice in the league, but I still think he has a long ways to go before we're talking about Jalen Milroe as a potential starting quarterback in the National Football League. Then we got Armand Membiu. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably completely butchering that, but the tackle out of Mizzou, he played right tackle last year. He's very highly touted. He's expected to probably go in late round 1, early round 2. He played right tackle. It's what he's expected to play in the National Football League, but he's sick this week. So that makes him kind of a loser here because he hasn't been able to showcase what he's capable of doing, all right? Like, these opportunities to go out there and compete against the best players in the class, like Membiu could have really increased his draft stock here with a good week in Mobile, but he had kind of a stomach bug. He took himself out of contention for the Senior Bowl today. He's on his way home. So we hope that he gets in time for the Combine here. And hopefully it doesn't affect his training too much in the weeks to come, because this guy seriously has some really nice ceiling in terms of his potential. Then we get to Walter Nolen, who left the practice today with an injury. Nolen was a winner yesterday, so I think that Nolen was out there at practice enough to really impress people in terms of his ability to get to the quarterback quickly, and that's kind of what he's known for. He's not the biggest guy in the world in terms of interior defensive lineman, but he really gets after the quarterback with really fast and violent hands, which is something that these NFL teams really look at. I know Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers was really in his ear yesterday, let's put it that way, in the drill. So it sucks that he has to leave practice today. I think that considers him a loser for today's practice just because he couldn't finish it. But I do think overall for the Senior Bowl, it's been very good for Walter Nolen. Speaking of good performances overall, but had to leave practice today with an injury, Trey Amos, the highly touted cornerback out of Ole Miss, also left with an injury today. Now, it's considered minor, so I think that he's going to be okay. But I don't think he's going to practice tomorrow, and I don't think he's going to play in the game itself. So Trey Amos was actually having a pretty decent week. I won't say it was a stellar week, all right? Nothing to ascend him from a round 2 pick to a round 1 pick or anything like that. But he was certainly fine. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to look like here at the Combine once he gets better. I wish I would have saw him on day 3, but it's definitely looking like with this injury, he's not going to be able to give it a go. Then the final loser, I had this guy as a winner yesterday, but I think that he was a little bit more inconsistent today. Took a couple more losses, which disappointed me, and that was Azareye'h Thomas, the cornerback out of the Florida State Seminoles. This guy's big, he is long, he is physical, and I think he's got a lot of tools that NFL teams look for. But today, in the one-on-ones, it certainly looked like he was getting beat a lot more than he did on day 1. So maybe inconsistency is going to be something that these teams have a note on when it comes to Thomas's game. I think tomorrow, day 3 of practice, is going to be big for him to have a bounce-back day. But overall, I do like Thomas as a player. Now, that'll be it for today's edition of NFL Draft by Chat Sports. Tomorrow, we will once again have our notes for day 3 of Senior Bowl practice. So make sure you guys join us then, and get down there in the comment section. If you made it to the end of today's show, type real one for me in all caps down there in the comment section if you made it to the end of today's show, because it really does help us out, guys. So again, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Join us here at the NFL Draft channel by Chat Sports. Me and Tom Downey, we're going to be collaborating on a bunch of great original content on this channel all throughout the draft season. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until tomorrow, guys, peace.